All right, all right, fine. I'll be a gracious host. How you doing?
Little Mermaid is the scariest Disney movie by far, though.
Why the hell is Ace Blade in your Kickstarter?
Some comics. I'm getting controversial today. We're gonna get controversial today with.
My proudest moment is this interview and being able to talk to you two.
Light the beam! I was gonna do it live either way. I was either
Oh, go ahead.
Light the beam!
There we go. All right. Let me do this properly though, because last week you messed up my intro. So shut up.
Happy birthday, by the way, again.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tours Comics in collaboration with Fourth Wall Productions respectfully brings to you the 71st episode of the Four Tales podcast. I'm your host, Kyron Silva from Tours Comics. Across the way is the pomegranate dramatist of Ace Blade, Danny J. Quitt. And together we are your two award-winning blurred comic creators here to help you find your next favorite comic. We are live on the Ages of Geekdom network via Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So if you are listening or watching us live, thank you for your support. But don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and review this podcast because all your positive reviews and interactions help us reach a bigger audience. My voice is gone because last night I was screaming my head off from that game. And you might have to carry the show today like you do always, but you know.
No, I was screaming a lot last night too. As you know,
That's
the
right.
Lakers also won last night
Right.
by 40. They closed out the series against the Grizzlies, blew them out, and it was a great game. I hope the Lakers play like this for the next 2-3 years. They just had it firing on all cylinders.
No, they can't.
Yeah,
Anthony Davis's knees aren't going to hold up for another 2 years.
Hey, he was dunking over people, blocking shots. It was good. It was good, man. It's good basketball.
Wait. Behind the scenes in the chat, he said, "What up, Fourth Wall Production? No love to me.
What's happening?
No hi to Kyron. No hi to Tours Comics.
Productions too. Now you've been hired to do work for Fourth Wall, so you are part of the team. So some people even say that you're the CFO of Fourth Wall Productions. That though some people are me, but
I think I showed up in one of your comics as a CFO, even I did absolutely nothing for that book.
You gave me financial advice. You gave me financial advice for the project. Okay. You said, sell it. So there you go. You're the CFO now.
Fair enough. You want to make money? Sell the book. All right, that makes sense.
Hey, CFO. That's all you got to do.
Right. Marvin Wins in the chat. Also, happy Saturday, sir.
Good morning.
You are owing me some content, by the way. Just real quick before we bring our guest on. Yes, we had this discussion off air last week. You said we were gonna start doing something where we talk about the books that we read this week, and you said by Sunday you were gonna give me some content so I could post it.
Completely forgot about that. But also, I don't think I read a single comic book this week. So I actually don't have any. I bought a comic book this week, but I don't think I read any. I didn't read any this week.
Right.
Static.
Oh.
And Black Lightning crossover.
Okay.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes says, "My bad, Kyron thought you was a part of the Fourth Wall." Technically, I am. I've drawn the Ace Blade #1 cover variant. I did Ballad of Black Rose. I did the entire issue for that. So I technically am a freelancer for Fourth Wall. But I am part of my own self of Tours Comics, which is, if you can see down here on my name right here, says Kyron from Tours Comics. That's all me. So if you want to check me out, go to tourscomics.com and you can, buy a book or two.
We'll do that at the end. Do it at the end. Okay. We do that at the end, Kyron. Come on, don't mess up the show. We got a esteemed guest coming on the show today. Mm-hmm. And we're happy, man. We've been getting some pretty big guests lately. I don't know what you're doing.
All our guests are big. I don't know what you're talking about.
All of our guests are big. But we've been getting some guests who are in some different areas of comics and with some different type of connections. So I don't know what you're doing behind the scenes here, but it's been good in our audience appreciates it, and I appreciate all the hard work you do, sir.
It's
Now that
called
you're
begging for
72.
likes,
Yeah,
and yeah.
that'll work.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, you were going, keep going. You want to introduce them then? Because you were doing a good job.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got it.
All right. So we have the CEO and Chief Creative Officer for Why can't I talk now? Officer, Bad Ideas Comics, Dinesh Shamdasani on the line.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on.
Good morning. Good morning,
Kyron. I didn't know it was your birthday today.
It's not my birthday. Last week was my birthday. He's just being a jerk.
Well, Kyron won't tell us how old he is, so we just have to keep poking at him. I told folks that he was 72, but I think he's a little closer to 40.
You look great for 40. Kyron.
Thank you. You can count my gray right here. Count all the gray hairs. You'll figure out how old I am.
Yeah, I know. That's comics. That's what comics does to you.
I blame my kids though. So
kids.
Yeah,
comics will do that to you. I think my kids have added a few gray, but comics have definitely added a lot of gray.
Well, Danny, I remember when you started comics, you actually had hair.
Exactly.
So
I'm like the two of you combined. That's what I have.
I see it, dude. I see the resemblance, the three of us just all together.
There we go.
It's like looking in two mirrors. It's super weird.
Hilarious. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Dinesh, if you would, can you tell our audience just a little bit about yourself and in your journey in comics and what you're promoting today?
Sure. My journey in comics. I started as a young, fully haired man of black beard. I work at Bad Idea Comics. I'm one of the very few people at Bad Idea. We're a very small company. Most of us were at Valiant Comics for about, I would say, for 15 years. Valiant is, for anyone that doesn't know, a very storied brand in comics, started in the 90s by a group of ex-Marvel employees, Jim Shooter and Barry Smith, David Lapp and Bob Layton. They were very successful, too successful, some would say. Were sold to a video game company called Acclaim Entertainment, then Acclaim Comics. Acclaim mismanaged their video game library. The whole company went under, took Valiant into Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I was involved with the team to bring Valiant back. We spent 15 years bringing the library back to comics. Very lucky. We won a lot of awards. People like the books. You could say, we're also
one of those people that like the books.
Thanks, Kyron. Awesome, man.
Exo Man of War is my jam. When you brought it back, that was like my monthly subscription right there.
I'm a Ninja guy myself, but that's cool.
Those books, we were so lucky. Rob Vendini on Exo Man of War, Matt Kint on Ninjak. Unless you read the later Exo, which was Matt Kint, and the later Ninjak, which was Christos Gage. All awesome.
They were.
I think we were too successful as well. We had a Chinese investor that did how do I not get myself legally in trouble, hostile takeover of the business. Which led to a number of the key staff being forced to resign all in one day. I was the lead of that. So in about 2018, Valiant was acquired. A lot of the continuity of executives left, which led to in about 3 months, most of the creators, film and TV projects, a bunch of other executives all left. I immediately formed Bad Idea, which is kind of different approach to publishing. Valiant is very traditional publishing. We publish monthly books, ongoing books, trades, variants, digital, everything you'd want out of a publisher. We try to do a better version of. Bad Idea is a little different. We are only in 250 stores that we handpick. We call them destination stores. We don't do any variants. We don't do digital. We very rarely, if ever, do any collections, trade paperbacks. We've never done one. We've done one hardcover. We're about to do our second. And we try, and we're not a publisher that publishes all the time. We're seasonal. So what the entire impetus for the company is a bunch of friends getting together to make comic books that are hopefully very, very, very good, better than they can be in the traditional model. And when they're ready, we put them out. Right now, we're on an off-season period, gearing up to do a release of a book called Megalith.
I want to go back to what you're talking about with you and Valiant and you now with Bad Idea, because you said this a couple of times that you were too successful. Now, anybody else hears that, they're going to say, success is great. How could you be too successful is a bad thing? Can you expand on that?
Sure. I think you heard the adage, success is harder to manage than failure. And I think that's for a number of reasons. When you have success, You've got to move quickly. You've got to make decisions quickly. You're often not objective about it. Our success, I think, happened. It didn't happen quickly, but I think it grew to such an extent that we became a target for acquisition. There were a lot of companies. I mean, during the time I was at Valiant, probably 40 times we had very serious acquisition processes. And when the Chinese ended up acquiring us, we actually had two much larger parties, much larger deals that we couldn't take. I think what had happened is, film and TV is such a big part of the entertainment business, and comics are a bit of a golden key into film and TV. We had a lot of film and TV deals that we hadn't announced with very big talent, and I think that that made us very attractive. People wanted to come in, take over the film and TV deals, kind of push publishing aside, let it just run, but not really focus on it. And that's unfortunate. They didn't understand that the business is publishing. You have to focus there, otherwise the rest of it doesn't exist. So that's what I mean when I say we were too successful, I think.
Okay.
That's a great insight there. That's not something that I know us as indie folks, like Kyron was saying, we would think, when you actually get a hit book or you have a hit series, that everything will be rosy. You got money coming in, you can make more comics and do things like that. But like you just said, having people want to, even at our level, in making comics, there are people who have approached us. I know myself and Kyron for coming into their companies or taking over our properties and things like that. So I can only imagine at the level of properties like Exo Man of War and Ninjak and others that people want Bloodshot, that people would have that same kind of energy for, and especially when they can offer you these huge bundles of money, these huge prices. It's got to be hard to kind of adjust and adapt in situations like that. So that's a great perspective there.
Yeah, it's also political, right? It's also there's a lot of political maneuvering. You'd be surprised how much politics there are in publishing. Or you guys know, but it's the licensing deals. I think at Valiant, when I left, we had 150 licensing deals. That's throwing off cash. We had probably 24 film and TV deals, including a 5-picture deal at Sony. I shouldn't say, but some very, very, very large talent that has since blown up in a big way, even more so. And I think people look at that and they go, okay, here's a business that maybe is doing okay from a publishing standpoint, so it's not a huge burden financially. But then the trend lines are very strong. Also, our books were over the 2-year period before the acquisition, the changeover. We were setting record after record after record in terms of sales of books. We figured out a little bit of a secret sauce and had a little bit of a tipping point so that we were able to continue to grow, and we hadn't found our ceiling yet. And that, I think, was very attractive to people. They assume the trend would continue, not understanding how much work goes into maintaining that, let alone growing it.
Now, where did that idea come from? Was that just your idea? Was it, because I know you said it was yourself and a group of people, but who specifically was with that?
So Bad Idea is myself, Adam Freeman, Josh Johns, Peter Stern, and Anthony Militano. 4 of us, everyone except for Anthony, worked together at Valiant, along with people like Matt Kint, Rob Venditti, Louis LaRosa, Thomas Giorello, Josh Dysart. They all worked at Valiant as well. We've got a bunch of other creators, David Lapham. The ones that are coming to mind now, we haven't announced. They're very exciting, but I can't say them. So I'm going to get in trouble. I know it.
You can. I mean, you can.
We're Team Spoiler. You can do it.
We don't mind.
At some point, I'm sure I'll slip.
There's only 10 people watching the show right now. If you know.
Yeah, no, they all have Twitter. I'm going to get in trouble, guys. Nice try. And then we had people like Carl Ballers was with us for a little while. He's writing for us now. We've had a couple others that were in the formation. Where it came from, really, I think, was 2 places. It came from spite and revenge on one hand.
Those are good motivations.
It came from a desire to keep doing the thing that we were doing successfully and having fun at. So Adam, Josh, myself, Peter, along with Matt Kent, Rob Venditti, Louis, Tomas, and Dysart, we all just enjoyed making comics together, and we didn't want to stop. So we found a mechanism to be able to do it, but we'd done it the traditional way, so we wanted to challenge ourselves, I think. And this is subconscious. So we set up a kind of new model. We tried to build a better mousetrap, and you're not meant to do that. We tried to. And that is, again, we don't do any variants, partly because that money, that time can be put into the books. And our philosophy was, if we can make the books that much better, we can supplement whatever we're getting from variants. We don't do trades because the inventory cost is a real burden to the business over time. Plus, most of your sales go through Amazon, and we're very comic store focused. We want to support stores and have them support us, which is why we only have 250 stores. They're the ones that do the best hand selling and are built for our kind of independent comic books. So it was a lot of kind of learning everything we learned for 15 years at Valiant and approaching the comics industry differently.
I was going to ask you about that, about the comic stores, because I literally only go to 3 comic book stores in my area. Those are my 3 stores that I visit regularly. And if I wanted to get the Bad Idea books in there, how would we do that? Who would we have reach out to you to get your books in those stores?
Anyone from any store can reach out to Bad Idea Voices on Twitter, Instagram, our email, our website. If they email sales@badideacorp.com, badideacorp.com, we'll get back to them immediately. We have a very simple one-page form. That's us. We have a very simple one-page form. It's got 6 or 7 rules now for retailers on it. Things like, we insist that the books are sold for cover price for 30 days. We insist that the books are displayed in a certain way in a certain area of the store. Things like that. Don't sell more than 1 copy per customer. We try and stamp out FOMO and speculators and those kinds of things on one hand in the stores. We do many things to support that with marketing, but we try to balance that. So as long as they agree to the rules, we usually let them in for the next slate.
I love it. I love
Now,
that.
we had a comment here from Marvin Wynn, said, Bad Idea did a very interesting presentation at Comics Pro this year.
Thanks, Marvin.
Do you,
Yeah, go on.
if you could tell us what that was, I'm not familiar with what the hell he's talking about.
I haven't been to Comics Pro, but Jermaine from the Acme Comic Store, he goes all the time. I think it was in Pittsburgh this year. Was it?
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and
Comics is.
Yeah, so if you, I've never been, but I've heard some good things about it. So if you want to give us some insight into what that process is like, we would love.
Comics Pro is my favorite show of the year. It's a B2B show, so there's no fans and it's not public facing. What happens is most of the publishers come, a lot of vendors come, a ton of retailers come, and you spend 2.5 days together in usually a pretty shitty hotel because everyone's trying to keep costs down. And you do 3 different things. One, you drink a lot, and in drinking, you get to be face to face with the people that you've been doing business with all year, and you're reminded that they're humans, and they remind you that you remind them that you're human. They remind you that they're human, and you start to remember that you're all in love with comics and that you shouldn't take this too seriously. And we find that very helpful, especially for a publisher like us, who is a little demanding of the retailer, to remind them that we're making decisions not because we're crazy. We're making decisions to try and better the business, and there is logic behind it. Second thing we do is this panel presentations, best practices for publishing and retail. The third thing, that's probably the most intensive thing, is we do these roundtables, and there's 4 sessions of them. There's between 5 and 10 retailers per table, and then each publisher, and the retailers get 8 minutes, and then they move, and there's a presentation. Our video presentation this year was we had built, because we're insane, we had built an entire hour-long presentation that we had planned to fast forward through in 2 minutes. So we started the presentation, everyone's watching it, and they're like, I'm sure they're thinking this is just like everyone else's, and it's boring. And then we go, no, this isn't working. We fast through the whole thing. And I think they were like, I can't believe they spent all that time building, editing an entire presentation that they're going to. And then we showed them about a 2-minute video of all the different fans cut together, Bad Idea fans, thanking the stores, explaining how important it's been for them this year and how much they love the stores and all the wacky Bad Idea-ness. And we weren't going to Comics Pro to pitch anything because we're in between slates. The timing just didn't make sense. So we were able to go there and just say thank you and try and do what we could to help without having an agenda to pitch anything. So we went and we asked questions about what we could be doing better and what we can do to help, and just thank you, and buy drinks, buy a lot of drinks.
Okay.
that I'm sure that definitely helped. I think that's awesome. And I was looking at the list that Kyron just put up with stores, and I see that Ultimate Comics in Durham is on there. So that's one of my stores that I go to. Alan and the crew down there. They do good work. So
I've got no stores near me.
No, where are you?
Sacramento.
There's a couple we're talking to. So when the next slate drops, I think there'll be a couple near you.
If you can talk to Empire's Comics, that's my store right there. Yeah. Ben's a great guy.
Hey, we're gonna make it happen. Definitely. We love to support all levels of comics on this show. We usually talk to more indie creators, folks, who are coming up with new ideas and everything. But one thing that is a common factor in all the levels of comics is this great art. I was looking at some of the art from, I can't remember the name of it now. I just had it up, but the one with the orcs. What's the name of the one with the orcs?
Orc Island.
Orc Island. Oh my God, the art on that that dang on Orc Island. I was like, I will buy this immediately. I don't know what it's about. I don't know. I was like, I haven't seen this before. All I know is the art on it is amazing. You got the 3 orc women soldiers running out with the armor and the weapons, and I'm like, okay, I definitely buy this just based on the art alone. So
I'll send you a copy. Shoot me your address. I'll send you a copy. That was a very, very well received book. We spent about 2 years on that book. That's Josh Dysart wrote it, and Alberto Ponticelli drew it. Alberto is a genius. He approaches every book with a different style. The two of them worked together last. They won the Eisner for Unknown Soldier.
Okay, yeah.
We added Matt Hollingsworth, who did an incredibly detailed commercial job on the coloring. And the book was our launch book for this last slate. Many people calling it Book of the Year. We had our best reviewed slate ever. I mean, that's a little bit of a crazy thing to say. At Valiant, we won something like 1,000 awards, named Publisher of the Year many times, Book of the Year many times. This last slate of books, 5-6 books we put out, was the best reviewed slate we've ever put out. And I think it's because about 6-8 months ago, we completely changed the way we approach editorial. It's a very different system now, and the books are much better for it.
Yeah. I think it's amazing. I just looking over at the books that you guys have coming out, I can tell that that people are gonna love them. My question is, like, where are you finding the talent? Where are you finding the because I know for me, just reaching out to artists and collaborating with different artists can be kind of one of the tougher parts of the job. Even because you can't necessarily afford the people that you want to get to get on some titles. Like if I wanted to get Jimbo Saldago or Brian Stelfreeze or somebody like that to do a book, I might not be able to afford them for my title, but there's a lot of great talent out here that you can work with and that you can find. So what's your process like? What Kyron? I see your face. What do you
just admit? You're just trying to submit your application to join Bad Idea. You're like, I'm a writer. I write action comics. How can I write for a Bad Idea?
I am not. I see they got some positions open on the website, but writer and graphic designer is one of them. So, I was just gonna say
we should absolutely talk about that. I'll tell you what we do, and this is part of what I was talking about when I said we've changed the approach for the entire company. At Valiant, it was very difficult because at Valiant, if we bring someone on, it's a big commitment. At least it's a one shot. We don't do very many one shots, so it's probably more like a 0 issue, which has a lot of value from a marketing standpoint. We need to get it right, or a mini series. We had a lot of. Not only did it have to be good, it had to be good in a very specific tone, a very specific way, work within the universe. It was very hard for us to be experimental. Here at Bad Idea, every book we publish, we include about an 8, maybe 10-page story in the back, completely different creative team, completely different tone, genre, a little bit like peanut butter to our chocolate, right? So you get the main story. So for instance, Orc Island, 4 issues, each one included a completely different story. And for that, we're able to bring all sorts of people in. We're able to bring big stars, people that are doing their first comic book, people that are very talented but haven't broken in, and we can experiment with visual styles, we can experiment with storytelling structure, we can take a lot of chances, and many of those people that we work with there, then we replicate that or we bring them onto bigger books. And our process is very simple. We have relationships from being at Valiant, work with those people again like Louis Rosa, Matt Kint, who are doing Megalith next. They often will meet people and suggest that they come work with us because we have a different approach, a more caring, I think, long-term approach to making comic books. We're not burnt out and jaded like a lot of the other publishers. We have people reach out independently because they've read our books, but a lot of the times what we do is we're all comic fans at Bad Idea. We read comics, we see something we like, we reach out, and it's a very simple pitch. We say, hey, we've read this, we're huge fans of this book or your art or the story or this or your bibliography. We'd love to one day find a way to work together, no pressure. Can we send you a care package of books? And then we send them 4 or 5 books we put out, and we are very proud of our books, and that tends to be kind of a big moment. They'll get the books, they're very high quality in terms of production, they'll read them, they'll get back to us and say, hey, I didn't know people were making books like this right now. What is that? I want to be involved. I want to do this. How do we do this? And then we can come back and say, let's start small, 8-page commitment. We'll throw you a couple prompts. You pick one you like. Take your time. We'll pay a fair rate. We give you a lot of time, and we'll do a lot of marketing around it. What more do people want? I think is how we approach it.
Hook them and reel them in. That works every time. I love it.
I love having him on the show now because he's giving us more of the business side of things, where we definitely appreciate when we have people like Ryan Benjamin and Eric Larson on the show who give us, the artistic side. But I think, as Danny said, a lot of our audience is independent creators. So seeing the business side of things is something all of us need to focus on. Most of us are just focused on creating the book. We don't worry about things like marketing. We just think, oh, just put a flashy image and everybody's going to buy it. And you have to really plan this out.
Yeah, there's 3 legs of the stool, and I'll tell you, I know Ryan, I know Eric a little bit. They'll tell you as much about the business as I am. Every one of us as independent creators, independent publishers, need to understand and be an expert in not just the creators, but the business and the marketing. Those are the 3 major pieces of any business. You've got to understand it so you can take advantage of it, and honestly be as creative with marketing and with business as you are with the storytelling.
See, that's why I fail. I suck at business. So
yeah, you haven't failed. You've been doing pretty good, Kyron, to be honest with
you. I don't think you're failing, man.
I think if you need to tell people that Saw 4 is coming out a little earlier, but other than that, I think you're doing pretty good.
Also, what kind of talk is that, man? I know you're being self-deprecating with humor, but you got to manifest a little bit as well.
Yeah,
you believe it, even subconsciously.
Okay, I'm gonna practice on it. I'm gonna work on that.
That's right.
It'll help. I promise it'll help.
Absolutely.
So there are some comments here that we have. One from Danny Fiedler says those B-sides are the hidden gems of Bad Idea books. Hero Trade and Bunsen Beaver have been the very best examples in the industry. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, we've been very blessed with those. We're able to bring new talent in, but we've also been able to try crazy ideas and build them. We've got Hero Trade's become a huge piece for us, and that started as a B-side. Bunsen Beaver for sure. We've got this thing called The First 7 Days, which is about a puppet apocalypse. Puppets all around the world come to life, and they're kind of a new approach to what life is. They're not sentient in the traditional terms. They just want to replicate, and so they dismantle basically anything around them and turn it into puppets. We've got a book called Save Now, which we're doing a mini series on with Matt Kinn and Thomas Girella. That's one of my favorite things we've got coming up. I'll tell you, as strong as the books that we just put out are, we had 2 or 3 of them that people thought were Book of the Year, early contenders. The next slate, the next 5 we have are absolutely the very best books I've ever been involved in.
If you want to give us some spoilers again, you're more than welcome to drop them.
The whole thing launches with MEGALITH. So we've got this campaign for MEGALITH starting Thursday. MEGALITH is Matt Kent, Louis Rosa. The story is a giant monolith crashed into Baltimore. The SWAT teams, police, everyone's trying to figure out what happened. They send 3 teams in to breach the thing, one on the top, one in the middle, one on the ground, and no one can get in there. Meanwhile, this thing sprouts tendrils and drones, and it's ripping up streets and cars and people, dismantling them, building itself bigger and bigger and bigger. Finally, one team with a subway cop, just a beat cop, are able to get in, and they've got to scale the thing from the inside, get to the head. What we realize is, by the end, I won't give you all the spoilers, by the end of the first issue, you realize this thing is 3D printing itself into a giant mech robot, and they're running out of time. The people inside are running out of time because the government decided to nuke the thing since it started walking in Washington, and another one, a larger one, is on its way. And so the series is just a big, awesome science fiction punch up. And Lewis is doing, I think, the work of the industry. I think that this is a different approach to how you build a comic book. We've seen it tried to lesser extent a couple times before with like Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein, or Travis Charest takes his time with books, things like that. I don't think there's a book that's ever looked like this. Or Barron's Storyteller recently. I got to say, I think Lewis and Matt have outdone those books. It's up to Poor Little Bad Idea to make sure people hear about it, which is why we're doing this campaign. We want to put it in stores in a way that no one's done before. We have quite a crazy plan for it. But that's the first book in a slate. We've got a book from Josh Dysart, who at Orc Island, called Habitat, which is a contained underground thriller, very character-centric. David Lapham's drawing that. We've got a book from Robin Venditti. It's about a submarine, big action kind of Indiana Jones thing. That's phenomenal. Real clever use of a fourth act. You guys are storytellers. I'm trying to think what else. Save Now is this wonderful book about the character's power is that he's able to save any spot in his life and then go back to it. So in the short story, you see him as part of a kind of Justice League, and they go attack a big bad, and they immediately all die. And then he's saved right before the attack, so he goes back, and he does it over and over and over and over again. It's like 8 hours of this fight for him. Each time they die, each time he reverts, but each time he learns a little bit. Finally, he figures out how to beat this thing, so he tells the team what to do. They beat it, and as far as they know, they beat it first time. They don't even know if he has this power because they've never seen. They wouldn't. He just keeps resetting.
And
First half. Yes, go on.
No, I don't mean to interrupt. Like so Megalith. So two of my favorite movies, and I shouldn't even say this. People already get on me about my takes anyway. But I don't know if you've seen the movie. I think it was Tom Cruise's Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like those kind of movies, I absolutely love those kind of movies. So when you describe this and then you talk about Megalith, Independence Day is one of my favorite all-time movies.
Yeah, definitely.
It gives me a vibe of those kind of movies, and I would just love to. I know that when these books come out, like I'm going to enjoy them, and I can already see them. I have a problem with with indie comics now is that there's certain books that you can already see on the big screen. Like I can already imagine this as an epic sci-fi, war movie or something like that. Is that part of the? I know, especially with your experience, you've been in, you've had projects go into film and things like that. So, is that kind of part of the process in your brain when you're putting out these projects, or are you just trying to keep it at the comic book level, and then if anything else happens with it,
It's a bit of both. I have had a lot of experience in film and TV. And I have a number of projects there now, and I have friends in that business. And I guess I don't like the business as much as I like comics. But I've been very fortunate that I've had a lot of experience there, and maybe that's why I see both sides of it. Film and TV is an inevitable part of publishing. The bigger your ambitions are in publishing, the more you have to find your way in film and TV. So our approach is, we have to think about it. It is a piece that will come eventually, but as long as we're able to push it off, we want to push it off. So right now, there are a lot of film and TV projects at Bad Idea in various stages. We're not hyper focused on them. We're not being aggressive about them. They're taking their time moving forward, and we haven't even announced. I think we're the only publisher. I think so. The only publisher that has not announced a film and TV deal ever. We've never announced one, even though we have several. We're just not really focused on it right now. And we don't want our fan base to be thinking about us that way. The thing you said about Save Now, Edge of Tomorrow, what's fascinating about that is we have that mechanism. So let me finish telling you the picture. We have that mechanism. He does that. We cut to then 10 years later, and we see the world is over, and his team, his Justice League, have got him tied up to a chair, and they want him to go back, try again. And he's telling them, I've tried. And he looks much older than 10 years. He looks like he's aged 30 years. He's been trying. He's like, I keep going back. There's no way to prevent this apocalypse. They convince him to go back one more time. That's our short story. In our ongoing, he goes back, and we realize he's decided to go back 1 year prior, and he's just going to spend a year with his wife. He loves his wife. He's happy. Right before the world ends, he's going to go back again, and he's going to live his life out and die this way. So each time he goes back, he gets older. She sees that he's getting older, and it's very much a story of what happens when a superhero fails. What do they do? If there is no way to solve for this, where do you go? If you have the power to live any part of your life, would you live in that period forever? He eventually decides, he goes back enough times that she convinced him to have a kid. They have a kid, a little baby. Obviously, it's only 1 year's worth of time. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a very emotional, character-driven story that I think what we're doing it is because there's a metaphor for all of us. I think all of us in the lockdown had an experience of this existential problem out there, maybe problems internally with with work, finances, etc. But at the same time, we're all forced to be with our family. We have more family time. There's less travel, less distractions. So there's some internal pros. There's some familial pros. There's things I think that created a unique environment. I know a lot of people coming out of the lockdown have changed the way they live their life. They've learned lessons about what they actually want out of life, not the rat race. They've made those decisions. This is a story a little bit about that. And so, yeah, we think about film and TV, and that kind of character approach can be very enticing for film and TV, but we're not really focused on it right now. At some point, we're going to have to be focused on it, but it's a means to an end. Film and TV is not the end goal for a publisher. You don't make enough money from film and TV to make the business work. You need to use film and TV as a big commercial to get to licensing, where there can be a lot of money. That's where Marvel makes the vast majority of its money, or an acquisition. Someone comes and buys you, like Netflix bought Millarworld or the Chinese bought Valiant, that kind of thing. And then hopefully you're still involved and you're enjoying it, or maybe they want to do their own thing and you can start again.
And we have a comment here from Dan that says, bad idea does a lot of unorthodox marketing. Did any stunt turn out differently than they expected?
They all do. They all turn out. We had this silly program a year ago where we went to SC Comic Con, South Carolina Comic Con, and we decided we were, again, in an off period, so we weren't selling comic books. We sold donuts, and the thing blew up. We had a line out the door. It was one of the most successful things we've done. We went back this year and did it again. So yeah, they always turn out differently. Our marketing campaigns are they're probably as creative as our books. They're insane. We did a Kickstarter, our first Kickstarter ever. This one turned out very differently. It was called Stop Bad Idea. We were raising, it was $10,000 was the goal we set. And we said, if we get to 2.6 million, we'll go away. No more bad idea. So the haters, here's your chance, give us enough money and we'll just take the money and go do something else with our lives. And we thought, honestly, I thought we wouldn't even hit 10,000. I thought we'd hit $2,000-$3,000. We had 150. So that was like, okay, what's going on here? Is this a different method to communicate with the fan base? How do we build a product for this that doesn't hurt the retailers, that doesn't hurt everything else we're doing? So that was very different, and we've been looking at that. The Megalith campaign is a step in that direction, trying to figure out that world.
Danny, stop stealing ideas, dude.
Steal them all. People do. That's we expect it. We had that at Valiant. A lot of the books that we put out, a lot of the marketing we did there, we would see immediately that same creative team on a big book at DC or Marvel. We're starting to see the same thing now at Bad Idea. Whenever we announce somebody, they get a bunch of calls. We announced Megalith, and Lewis got calls from, I think, everyone in the business. You guys really should check these pages out. They're something else.
Everyone should be calling him. That man is amazing with his pencils and his Copics.
Yeah, Copic markers. Yeah, his ink wash.
Yeah,
he's another planet.
Seriously. Marshall Lakes in the comics said Danny's taking notes. No, Danny was stealing ideas. We already did that.
Hey,
I can't show Lewis's pencils to other artists. I'll walk around a convention. I'll go to Arts Alley, and I'll talk to them about Bad Idea, and I'll say, "Oh, we've got this book, Lewis, can I see some of his stuff?" And I show it to them, and literally, I'll show them on my phone. And I've had 4 times I've had creators push my phone away after looking at one or two, and they go, "I can't." And I think it's because you work very hard at what you do, and you get to a place where you're successful and you're famous and you're making a lot of money from it, and you think that you're at the peak or very close to the peak, and then you look over here and you're like, the peak's up there, and I think it crushes some people. Lewis is literally better than he's better than I think anyone.
Yeah,
he doesn't think so. He only sees he only sees the flaws.
It's an artist trait. We only see our flaws. So we don't see what everybody else sees. We just see where we can improve, where we can get better at. So it's an artist trait.
Right. Which keeps you pushing. It makes you better, right?
Depends on your mindset. Depends on your mindset.
Kyron, you're doing just fine, man. No. So before we do our quick takes, I just want to ask. So you have on the preview page for the Megalith, you already have over 1,000 followers on the Kickstarter page right now. 1,358 it says.
Nice.
What can we do in the community to kind of help get the word out about these projects and help Bad Idea reach more people?
You need to refresh. It's actually 1360 now.
Nice, even better. That's very kind of you. I'll be honest, we feel a very heavy burden with this book. This is the kind of book that I wish never felt this before because there's, I think, a lot of negatives about the way Marvel releases their books. I think they could be doing a lot more. Not that it's their responsibility, but this is the first time I've ever felt like I wish I had that mechanism, that machine behind me. We have a machine. I think it's a very strong machine, but it's a lean, mean machine. It's not a big behemoth. This book is a book, I think, if you've ever read a comic book and liked it, you will like this book. It's just of a quality. The storytelling is phenomenal. Matt Kint's very, very, very good at what he does. This is big, bombastic, commercial, fresh storytelling that'll surprise. And then the execution from a rendering artistry standpoint. Laura Martin's doing the colors, and she's de facto the best colorist in the business. We're very lucky to have her. Taylor Esposito's doing the lettering. He just won the Ringo for best letterer. So we've tried to put, and we've got some massive, massive, massive names coming in to do kind of celebratory work around it. The one I can mention, just to give you a sense of, and every name is this size, is Joe Quesada is coming in to help us with this. But we've got, really, we're spoiled. Every major artist, writer has come in and said, hey, we want to help support this and get this out there. So the best thing anyone can do is just try to get awareness. If you've got a comic book fan that doesn't know about this book, please let them know so that we can get them to take a look at the campaign and see the book and then make the choice. Do they want to support this campaign? Do they want to wait till the book comes out in stores? Do they want to do both? Because we're going to offer two very different approaches to the book. I think a lot of people are going to want both. And yeah, it's just getting people to see the work that these guys have put in. It's 5 years in the making. We approached this book as 5 years in the making, no expense spared. Try and take all the problems that you have in publishing, of time, of money, of everything, and say, what if that wasn't a problem? What could we do? Just pure creativity. What could we do? And so that's what Megalith is.
Nice.
Love it. All right. So this is my favorite part of the show. We're going to do a little section we call Quick Takes. If you haven't seen the show before, Quick Takes is a rapid fire Q&A section where we ask our guests 5 questions and you have 45 seconds to answer them off the top of your head.
Each question.
I won't say that I stalked your social media, but I will say that I did a little research to get some questions that I think our audience would love the answers to. So I'm ready when you are, Kyron. Quick takes.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Very excited about that.
That's why it's my favorite part of the show.
So it's over now. This is all
over now. Everything else,
everything's down here from here.
Okay, so question number 1.
Yes.
Which is the better experience in your opinion, a movie premiere or Comic-Con?
Comic-Con. Movie premieres suck, man. They're terrible. They
really?
Yeah, I've been to a few that were not my movie, and I went to one that was my movie. And the one that was my movie was better for sure, but they both are kind of terrible. It's a bunch of people that all have an agenda. That it's a big marketing event, right? And especially the actors, they have to do they need a lot of press. And then it's a bunch of people that are pretending. They either are pretending to be happy for you and they really want you to fail, or they're pretending to be happy for you, but they're jealous, insanely jealous. And so when you watch the movie, in the movie premiere, it is absolute silence. No one laughs at jokes. No one cheers. Nothing. The movie ends, and they get the very bare minimum of clapping to make it sound like they care. But they're just all haters, man. Movie premieres.
Wow. Oh wow, that sounds awful.
Yeah,
absolutely awful. Oh man. Okay. Well, see, there's more insight. That's
If I love a movie and I get invited to a movie premiere, I will not go. If I'm very excited, I'm excited for Guardians 3. I was lucky enough. I did not go though because I want to see it with an audience. I'll hate it. I've had movies that I watch in premieres and I've hated, and then years later I watch them again. I'm like, this movie's great. And then I realized the audience has such a huge impact on your experience.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. I remember going to see Coco it was just a bunch of families in the theater, and we were all laughing. I look back at the end of the movie, and there was another dad just crying, like literally tears coming out of his eyes, and I'm crying too. I'm like, yo, this movie was so amazing, and the audience absolutely helps with that. Okay, question number 2.
Yeah,
and this is one that might get you into some trouble. So,
answer
carefully. Which one is more important in comics? Is it the art or the story?
Oh, that is interesting. It depends on the book. I think it's the story 99.9% of the time. it's a collaboration, right? And any good artist and any good comic, the artist is a storyteller. Orc Island, for instance, Josh came up with this incredible story, this incredible arc, incredible thematic, and then Alberto infused that, and he made storytelling changes. He would ask us every time. He's like, "Hey, this is my layout. Here's what I'm thinking about doing the page. I don't think we need this beat. I don't think we need that beat. I added this beat." And they were always so smart. David Lapham does the same thing. He'll change the way that it's structured because he's a storyteller. So I think that the artist, I think it's definitely story, because the artist is a storyteller as much as the writer is when the project's working well.
I see what you did there, and I like it.
No, but I really believe that. I think that's true. If you look at the absolute editions that the DC puts out, or any kind of retrospective on a great comic book, you'll see that the artist had a lot more storytelling input when they go through the behind the scenes than you would have thought on first blush. It's not as simple as here's the script, now draw it. Whenever that happens, the book's not going to work.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. Great answer. Okay, question number 3. I saw an interview that you did, I want to say a few years ago, while you were at Baltimore Comic-Con, and you were talking about accessibility in comics. Kyron and I always talk about how manga is so accessible right now for the young folks, and that's one of the reasons why it's really popular. How do we, in your opinion, if you could fix accessibility in comics in 45 seconds, how would you do it?
I don't think you can fix accessibility in comics. I think comic books are tough. They're an active entertainment system, right? You've got to hold the book, you've got to flip the pages, you've got to be very engaged. You can't just sit back and play a video game, watch a television show. And there's a huge barrier. Any active activity is very difficult for the audience to binge, to eat like potato chips. I think we're doing a very good job. We've got giant movies as commercials. We've got video games, toys, merchandise. You can't really walk around day to day without hearing about comic books. They're everywhere. The problem perhaps is that the continuity is a little difficult to get into, or maybe the press. I would say the number one thing I would like to fix is the journalistic component of the industry. I think we don't have a run over. I don't think we have the press system that we deserve. A lot of the bigger press outlets have gone away. It's up to people like you guys to get the word out there, and that's a heavy burden. You guys should be supplementing. But if you think about it, Comics Alliance is gone, Multiversity is gone, CBR is just listicles about superhero movies. They're not really talking about comic books. Where do big, exciting, good comic books go to get the word out? There isn't anywhere right now. Bleeding Cool is the only one.
That's true.
That's a great point. We might have some ideas on how to fix that. But question number 4.
Don't put any more on my plate, dude. I don't have any more time for anything.
For real, this is a huge topic of conversation amongst publishers at Comics Pro. If there are legitimate attempts to try and fix this, you will rally every major publisher around you. DC, I spoke to I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it in a different way. DC had a big event last year, and most of the comic fans I know, if I asked them, what was DC's event? What event? They didn't have a DC event. They did. It was a Crisis event. Crisis, a third Crisis event? Yeah. Why do we not know about it? The word isn't getting out there. DC has no mechanism to get it out there beyond speaking directly to the people on their newsletter or on social media. But that broader fan base, the Mark Silvestri Batman book, that should be blowing.
That should have done well.
People didn't know. They didn't know that this is the book he's been working on for 10 years. That looks almost as good as Megalith.
Almost.
I love that confidence. Almost as good. I mean, it rivals it, definitely.
All right. So question number 4, and this is more of an advice question. But like we said, a lot of our audience is indie comic book creators and people who want to work in comic books. What kind of advice would you give creators for getting through the ups and downs that come with making comic books?
You can't get on the roller coaster. That's the thing. Every big failing that you have is teaching you something. Every big success you have is going to be followed by a big failing. I try and celebrate the small victories. If I get something working and I know the next day it might go away, I celebrate that night. When I have something that doesn't work, I try and think about what the lessons I've learned from it and double down to work to make sure that doesn't happen again. And that makes you stronger. No one achieves anything without failing a bunch of times. Failure has to come to success. We're taught by these, great entrepreneurs or whatever. I succeeded in everything I did. But if you really look at them, they failed a ton first. That's just mythology building. Failure must come first. So don't plug it. That's what I would say. It's all part of the process.
Part of the process. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo said something like that the other night.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the last question, and this is another one that might get you in trouble.
Cool.
But I want to know. We do another show called Top 5 Live where we discuss top 5 lists of all sorts. So on this show, I'd like to get our guests to do a top 5 list off the top of their head. And your top 5 is going to be your top 5 indie IP properties right now.
Indie comic books or indie IP across the scape of entertainment.
Indie comics.
Okay, of all time.
Yeah, of all time.
Okay, and can they be? I have so many questions here. Can they be? When you say IP, generally people think, well, to adapt. Is it something that it's already made? If I say Preacher, that's the first one that comes to mind. Does that count?
I would say Preacher counts. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say it counts. Yeah,
cool.
Spawn is in there. Preacher, yeah, for sure.
Okay, off the top of my head, should I just go?
Yeah.
Preacher, phenomenal, changed my life. Quantum Woody at Valiant, I'm not there anymore. Acclaimed publisher, I think is one of the best books no one's really heard of. It is incredibly heartfelt and funny. Strike Force Mortuary, I love it. Incredible, big, huge fan of that book. Danger Girl, I like that book, man. I mean, Campbell's great. I love the tone of it. And then independent, another one, Megalith. Megalith is in the top 5 because it is my job to say Megalith as many times as I can. So I'm going to say Megalith over and over and over again. Did I tell you guys we're launching on Thursday?
On Thursday, this Thursday?
Thursday. Campaign start.
And what's the name of the book again?
Megalith.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of it. No, I love it. Thank you so much for doing our quick takes. Wonderful insight and great answers there.
What are you guys top 5 off the top of your head? I get to do this too. We're live. You can't stop me.
Wow.
Saw everything that Kyron makes is my top 5. So Shaman's definitely Saw, and all the rest of them. And Ace Blade is number 5 for me.
It's the worst?
Yeah, it's I'm trying to climb the ranks though, but yeah.
It's my turn.
Yeah.
No,
the Were Spider.
Megalith is in there too. Megalith is in there also. There we go.
Isnana the Were Spider is top number 1. Long John webcomic, which is one of my favorites. Above the Clouds, Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, and Megalith. Easily.
Everyone loves Megalith.
We got it.
That's awesome.
All right. Is this week's Quick Takes sponsored by anybody?
Sponsored by, I don't know. No.
Are you looking around for something?
I usually just make it up as it happens. Sponsored by All Might, because I am here.
Amazing.
But if you want to sponsor Danny's Quick Takes, you can reach out to us at fourtailspodcast@gmail.com, subject line sponsor. And, you want to hit us up and sponsor. This has been fun, Dinesh. We appreciate you being on. Before we go, I know you want to talk on Megalith again. Is there anything else you want to bring up or, spoil for the rest of us? Or
you guys are great. This is very early. I'm shocked that you guys do this early on Saturday.
That's all his fault. I've tried to get a different time, but he's like, I'm too busy. I don't want to do anything else outside of this at this point. So
I've offered to change the time. I know we got a lot of West Coast guests, so if we need to change it, we definitely will.
Do you always do it live? Record it? You could pre-record it.
We always do it live.
Yeah.
That's his decision. Doing it live is on him. So that's Kyron's fault.
What a combination. 7 a.m. and live. Those are the two you guys go for.
I think about it, I have to host this at 7 a.m. So I'm just like trying to wake up at 6. And
I tell you what, why don't you do it this way? Why don't you get your guests on and say it'll be Saturday? We're not gonna tell you when. We'll call you 2 minutes before. Be ready.
Be ready. Be at your computer.
Or whatever you're doing, we're just gonna live you in. Here I am on the toilet. Here we go.
just to make just one more hurdle there for to make it harder for folks.
I would watch the shit out of that show, to be honest.
Yeah, I believe it. I honestly believe that.
We're not telling him when. We're just gonna start it.
But you ready? Let's do this.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. This is super fun.
No problem. Well, this is your time to promote your websites, your social media. So we want to make sure all our listeners find you and find your work. So where can people find you?
Bad Ideas on Instagram and Twitter. We've got our website. We've got 250 amazing stores. If you go to our website, badideacorp.com, and click on stores, you'll see them. They're awesome. They're the backbone of our company. And we've got MEGALITH launching on Thursday. So please sign up to be notified when it drops. We've got a bunch of cool stuff up on the MEGALITH campaign that we think some of the cooler things will sell out very, very quickly. So you want to be notified so you can jump on there.
Nice.
And that's us.
All right, Danny, where can people check you out?
If you want to find me, you can find us on our website, fourthwallpros.com. And if you want to find me on social media, it's the Ace Blade on all social media platforms. Kyron, where can people find you?
You can check me out at tauruscomics.com. I am on social media platforms, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Taurus Comics, Facebook, of course. And if this is your first time checking out our podcast, you can go to our website, fourtailspodcast.com. Go back and listen to all our previous 70 episodes and, find out some other great information. Dan said should have been MEGALITH on May the 5th. Isn't that Star Wars Day?
4th. May the 4th is Star Wars Day.
Okay. But we will not.
The 30-day campaign. It'll still be going May 5th. You're good. You're welcome.
We will not have an episode next week. Next week is Free Comic Book Day. Danny's going to be at, I'm assuming, Acme Comics?
Acme, yep.
Okay. I am going to be at Comics and Collectibles on Fruit Ridge in Sacramento. So check us out. We will be back, though, in 2 weeks where we are going to have writer Greg Burnham on the show. We're going to talk about his upcoming projects and have some fun then. But until next time, sayonara, good night, and please take care of yourselves.
Thanks, guys.
I want to know what it is Quick is trying to say.